It's day three of my West Coast swing, and with the G7 summit now over and really nothing getting done other than sending billions to Ukraine, we're going to talk about the West and what's going on out here. Welcome to Vancouver, British Columbia. Take a good look around me. This might look like a gleaming example of urban growth, maybe progress, development, but what you're actually seeing is a facade. It's a polished lie built on unaffordability, now addiction too, and despair down below. Behind these glass walls and the manicured marketing slogans of these buildings is one of the most broken cities in this country. And if you're in Toronto or Montreal or Ottawa and you're sitting there thinking, Biggs, this is just a West Coast problem. What are you talking about? You better wake up, because what's happening here in Vancouver isn't just a crisis. It's a giant warning. This is what collapse of a society looks like in very slow motion. Welcome to Bakes on Things. Now today, we don't have the stinger again because, hey, I'm out west. But let's start with the housing, because the housing is a giant warning to everyone in the East. Vancouver, did you know, Vancouver now has the most expensive real estate market in North America. It surpasses even San Francisco and New York on multiple affordability indexes. The average detached home price here is over $1.9 million. A one-bedroom condo, well, you're looking at $700,000 and climbing from there. And renting isn't any better here. The average rent for a one-bedroom is over $2,900 a month. And that's before utilities, parking, and the amenities fee that some of these developers decide to sneak in there. People aren't buying homes in Vancouver anymore, in much of the West either. Calgary's parking rates downtown, ridiculous. Basically, you're buying lottery tickets with granite countertops now. You're just hoping for value. And who's actually moving into these new towers behind me? Not your average nurse, teacher, trade person, city worker. No, none of them. Many of these units are scooped up by wealthy investors, foreign buyers who don't even care about the foreign buyer tax here, and numbered companies. Some of them allegedly connected to things like money laundering and organized crime. Problems that have plagued this city for years, and which governments have done nothing to seriously combat at all. And while Eastern Canada has headlines about things like rising mortgage rates and shrinking home inventory, here in Vancouver, the mainstream media basically ignores the West. They're living the aftermath of a market already that's been let loose like a wild animal. And that beast is now devouring the middle class in the West. It's spitting out the poor, and it's laughing in the face of anyone trying to build a life here. And again, the mainstream media, dead silent on this. It's no wonder that the West wants to leave. They're being completely ignored out here. And that's caused a drug crisis of epic proportions. This is where we have to talk about something a little darker. This drug crisis is terrible. Downtown Vancouver has become a cautionary tale for the entire world. You cannot walk a single block in some areas without stepping over someone in crisis, someone shooting up, someone passed out, or desperately begging for help. And this isn't hyperbole. British Columbia is on track for over 2,500 overdose deaths in 2025 alone. And that's with a so-called safe supply policy. So let's get this straight. BC decriminalized small amounts of hard drugs like heroin, fentanyl, and meth back in 2023. Now, they did this thinking that it would reduce stigma and connect users to some of the services around addiction. But instead of getting better, things have gotten worse, much worse. Fentanyl is now so common in Vancouver that it's even being found laced in every other drug, even marijuana. Kids are overdosing, seniors are terrified, and many residents say that they no longer feel safe walking their own streets. This is one of the most beautiful cities and especially provinces in the world. And now it's unsafe to be in? Where's the plan? Where is the vision? Where are the treatment beds, the detox centers, the mandatory recovery programs? Well, the truth is, they're nowhere. Because this government, both federal and provincial, isn't focused on healing, just harm reduction and optics. And when harm reduction becomes harm normalization, well, that's no longer compassion. That's abandonment of this place. And that's terrible. And since the mainstream media is in the pocket of the government, and the government is in the pocket of the mainstream media, we don't get to find out about any of this until independent creators come out here and start looking deeply into it. And let's look deeply into the broader affordability crisis here, because groceries in Vancouver are anywhere from 15 to 25% more expensive than any other region in Canada. Gas, regularly over $2.20 per liter. Daycare, you can't even find a spot. But if you do, prepare to spend more than your mortgage. People are fleeing to places like Kamloops, Kelowna, and then Alberta, in Edmonton and Calgary, and finding the same problem. Even those places are starting to feel all of this pressure. Seniors can't retire out here. Young adults can't move out of their parents' homes. Families are collapsing under the weight of basic costs, and even two-income households are reporting that they live paycheck to paycheck in the West. This is what a society looks like when it's being hollowed out slowly but surely. And the kicker? Wages here have not even remotely kept up. The average household income in Vancouver is about $85,000, according to who I talked to yesterday. Do the math on that. You can't live here anymore. You can exist, but not live. And when you combine this with rising property taxes, carbon taxes, federal mandates, and inflation, you create a population that is overworked, underpaid, and teetering on the very edge of utter hopelessness. And yet, Canada mostly, especially the East, doesn't pay attention. Where the hell is the leadership, by the way? Where is the leadership in any of this? See, in Ottawa, we have politicians handing out billions of dollars. Just yesterday, $4.3 billion in foreign aid to Ukraine with no checks or balances, while people here are living in tents under the Georgia Viaduct. In Victoria, the provincial government hands out photo ops and band-aid solutions. And municipal leaders? Nowhere to be found. They can't even agree or talk to me on how to clear encampments or manage open drug use near playgrounds or come on camera and talk about this with me. Their answer to everything seems to be delay, deflect, defund, and hope that the federal government just eventually writes us a check. But they're not, because those checks are being mailed to Ukraine. Vancouver isn't broken because of its people. Its people are wonderful. It's broken because of the political cowardice and incompetence that has allowed this decay to fester unchecked. The same policies that Eastern Canada is just starting to flirt with, endless immigration without any infrastructure, green mandates without balance, decriminalization without treatment, and luxury developments without affordability like these ones, well, they've already hit here. And the results have been absolutely catastrophic. So when you look at this, Eastern Canada, what are you now thinking? One thing is, we need to really embrace the West. The people out here are wonderful, but they are struggling, probably more than you. So this message is for you, Eastern Canadians. Don't sit there and assume that this is just some West Coast mess, as I said earlier, because it's already on your doorstep too. Housing prices in Halifax, well, they're skyrocketing. Crime in Toronto, we know how much that's rising. Addiction rates are climbing in places like Ottawa, London, Windsor, Kitchener-Waterloo. And affordability, ask any Montrealer how far their paycheck goes now compared to 5 years ago. What starts in the West, things like untethered real estate greed, drug chaos, hollowed out wages, and infrastructure collapse, does not stay in the West. It spreads quietly and quickly over to the East and across this country. So if we don't start acknowledging that these Western issues are actually just simply Canadian issues and demand national solutions from our Liberal government with real guts behind them, then we're just watching this country crumble in incredibly slow motion. You literally can't save it while you watch it crumble. So, what are we to do here? Here I am, standing in front of a symbol of Vancouver's supposed progress. But what's the cost? You see, this tower behind me might be new and almost finished, but it was built on the bones of a city that can't really take much more of this. A city where survival is not a luxury, or is now a luxury, I should say. A city whose pain is becoming a national prophecy. The East doesn't see it yet because we have different headlines out there, but it's coming. And whether the mainstream media wants to pay attention or not, we better wake up before we all fall off the same poverty cliff. Thanks for watching Bakes on Things. I want you to understand that the West Coast needs our help, but also it's a harbinger of things to come potentially in the East as well. We need to write to our MPs. We need to be vocal in the comments. We need to share videos like this to get the message out and across Canada, because the government truly is ignoring us and sending all of your money elsewhere. That money needs to stay here, and it needs to start in the West. Thanks so much for watching Bakes on Things. Please like, please subscribe, please comment as well. It obviously helps grow the channel with the algorithm, which allows it to reach more people and get these types of messages out. Thanks for watching again, and we'll catch you tomorrow.